Sawtooth Dave, what's happening, y'all? This is a different one, huh? Yeah. So this one has my scales when I was doing the flaming and trying to dip it in oil, trying to get different finish. So it's definitely a different look on the finish there. Modified blade. Also has my back special on this one too. But this one came in from 5-Door Doug, so appreciate you hitting me up, Doug. Hope you don't mind me saying 5-Door Doug. I think I used it before. Full house today. So Sammy's back on the treehouse. Socks over here. Got the hounds. The little one's running around and barking somewhere. But yeah, full house this Sunday. This one is, there's a couple people that asked about Sawtooths. This one is going to be for sale if y'all are interested. If not, I'll keep it. It's not a big deal. Like Sawtooths, like they're kind of sort of disappearing. You don't see them as much anymore. This one has really good action. It does need an edge, tune up, you know, send it to Kyle, whatever. No, I'm not doing it. But if you wanted some extra work done, like if you wanted another acid stone wash or whatever you wanted done to it. Did I do this one, Doug? I don't know if I did or not. Tell me if I did, because I can't even remember, man. I may have done this acid stone wash. It doesn't look like mine, but it, you know, over time things changed. But I do remember doing the scales, and I think Doug, and I want to say somebody else was one of the first ones that bought this scale, because these went pretty quick. Maybe it was T-Mac, I can't remember. But I don't think I colored the backspace on this one, or if I did, it's not like, it doesn't really match as much. But I can blast it if you don't like the color or whatever else too. But this is one of the few, and you can always tell mine if you haven't been here for a long time. But let's see if I can get up here and show you. Yeah, see how the ball grooves run this way instead of the, well, where's my other Sawtooths inside? I can't show you. They run the opposite way on a factory scale, plus mine don't have the hole right here. Not planning on doing any more of these unless it gets to a point where, you know, there's no more except for G10 Sawtooths out there. We can't have just G10, can we? Sorry, Ev. Speaking of which, another trade. This was kind of one that was like a trade for a trade through somebody that was supposed to get mod work. So anyway, a lot of people have had their hands on this one. And y'all know I've had Havalinas. I've had this Havalina right here for a while. I did modify the frame on this one just a little bit, but not much, just a little bit. I can't remember what I had originally done to it, but I know I've blasted that frame. And obviously I put my studs on it. And actually, I think those are from, pretty sure those are 229 studs. Somehow they made it up on this one. Modified the D10 on this one too, I think. I can't remember. I've done a lot of stuff to this one. But this next one came in. Let me hold this, both of them. And sorry, Ev, the reason I'm transitioning, this came with the G10. You've already seen it anyhow, but man, me and G10, we got like a love-hate thing. Like earlier in life, I kind of really liked G10. Like, I don't know. And then lately, I don't know why. Like, I just kind of don't really dig G10 that much. At least for, you know, I guess if it's a liner lock or something like that. I don't know. I like the same on both sides, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Which is kind of why on this Sawtooth, I'm not feeling the color, because I wish it was on either on this side, exactly the same, which I don't know if I can even reproduce this, because this was like experimental stuff. So if it was me, I'd probably blast the whole thing personally, or try to, you know, match that stone wash or something. Watch out. That's a knife flying around. Hang on a second, guys. Almost hit Sherman with that one. That would have sucked. Huh. At least it stayed closed. He's looking at me like, what the hell, bud? Anywho, that one came with that G10, so I did, you know, what I normally do is make myself a titanium scale. This one I originally showed on Instagram, and it just had the raw finish. I didn't blast it yet, so I blasted it, and it blended all together. Like, okay, so he's got a pattern. I thought about doing the pattern. Let me get that other scale for a second. I thought about trying to do a pattern like this on the scale. But if you notice these lines, they're not like short lines. They're the long lines. So I needed something long, at least as long as this, like a drum as long as this, so I could come in and get those straight lines. And you could probably do it with one of those small wheel attachments I have, but this is one of those really small, like a 1/4 inch or 3/8 or something. I don't know. Not my favorite. Like, I don't hate the way that looks, but it's just not my favorite. And it's gonna sound kind of weird, but like random patterns are hard for me, because my brain wants to like lay it out and do it differently. So that's like the random stuff. When I see people do random patterns, like that's the hardest thing for me to do personally, because it just don't work for my brain. Like it's just one of those things. I don't mind non-symmetrical stuff on the patterning. So I figured I'd just do exactly what I did with that VXC. Except for this time, I took some Scotch-Brite and ran it back over the top of it, kind of gave it a dirty look. Hopefully it's coming out in a video where it looks kind of dirty. That's kind of sort of the goal, but now that I see it, my wife's like, it just looks like it's unfinished. So y'all let me know. Do y'all think it looks unfinished? I don't know. I kind of like the dirty look, but also get what she's saying. Left the single stud on this one. If I didn't already say it, I traded this with Carco. 90% of the trades that I do seemingly come through Carco, or have been through Carco. Like the dude sees a lot of knives, moves a lot of stuff. But when it came to me, it had studs on both sides. And the reason I took the stud out of the backside is it's super easy to flick. You can almost see where my, you can exactly see where my fingers getting on this backside just flick out. But I've never missed it. So like, you can see the little, but the reason I wanted to, I guess, kind of compare these two. The reason that I think you don't need to miss it on the other one is the thickness of the blade, so you can see how thick it is, and then you can see how high that grind comes up, so you get all that depth to get in there and then get to the edge of it. So it's almost like a finger choil. So if you compare that, the thickness plus the highness of the grind, so you can see it's higher than this one, and obviously the acid etch also helps get a little traction too. So for me, I don't think I'm going to do anything different than this. I may refinish that scale and I may re-acid etch the blade eventually, but like I kind of like this old worn, dirty look, if I can speak this morning. I like this worn and dirty look. Leia, hey, excuse me 1 second. She's trying to get something. Hey, get out of there. Sorry. But yeah, so another Havalina added to the collection. Y'all know I'm still a huge DSK fan, and the more I collect, the more I appreciate the hand element and the precision. You know, as a lot of makers do that stuff, but like DSK happens to be, you know, one of the ones that I got attracted to earlier on as a builder. Like his style is something I was always into. And he just comes out with more and more models. And he's got models that I don't even know of, like haven't heard of, and that sort of thing. And so it's kind of cool that still he might even just have done a few, and that's it. Like there's a few models that I know he does still right now that aren't as popular for whatever reason. And this would be one of them. The Atreyu. So I've had this Atreyu for a minute. I've modified it and I keep modifying it and keep trying to make it better. The only thing that I didn't like about this one after the last time was I couldn't finger flick it. Like, and coming to find out, like the more I played with it, I was like, when I went to the deployment hole, it's like it makes you want to slide back. So you try to push it, comes out this way instead of trying to push straight up. So I was like, you know what? Let's try to cut somewhat of a fuller in there and see what it did. So this is kind of working right through it right now. But I did this one with just a small bull mill. And while I'm talking about this, just go ahead and because Mitch asked about it, and I want to kind of, oh shit, I brought different knives here, but we'll go over it anyhow. The difference between the three major things that I always say is a ball mill, which is a complete sphere on the bottom of it. So if this is the channel sitting like this, it's going to be a circle on the bottom of it. A bull mill, which is a small radius on the bottom of that corner, or a flat end mill, which is just like this, 90 degrees on both sides. That's basically the three and the slang that I used to talk about it. So on this one, it's really, really hard to see, but if you look really close in the corners, it's a small rad in that corner. I think this is like a 10th thou rad. So it's a bull mill with a 10th thou rad on the corner of it, if that makes sense. Bull, just, you know, you got a corner rad. Just terminology. So I know I spit that stuff sometimes without really realizing that you guys don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, the main point of that was to make it where I could flick it. And now it's easily flickable, like super easy. It works fine for me personally. So this is kind of how I progress in my own. I find something and to kind of go a little bit and go a little bit. So now I got to figure out how to finish this. I started sanding it. If you can already see that a little bit, you can see the tool chattery stuff in the bottom of it. And then me trying to finish it. It's super hard to get a really good finish off of machine on a hardened steel blade. Like, I don't know what is there secrets? Does anybody else do machine hardened steel blades that get good finishes? I personally don't. almost think it's a waste of time to try to play with it. So like me personally, I just think it needs to finish work afterwards. So I just got to figure out how to finish that. It's a little bit tricky because it got some of this transition into the blade over here. You know, I don't want to get into these grinds. Or acid stone wash. You know, I always go back to the old acid stone wash, but it is one of my favorite finishes. So I may or may not, but I think it kind of had a cool, because I brought it all the way out. Hopefully it's coming out. Yeah, you can see how the groove goes all the way down. It has a little point to it too. So I think it's kind of cool because this is a hollow grind swedge. So it ended up being cool. The reason I didn't use the ball is because of that. I wasn't sure how it would come out with the ball, like a radius on top of a radius. It might have looked a little funny or had a different pattern to it. So I kind of wanted it to look that I was going for. So I was playing around with that this week. And then I finally finished what do you call it? Acid stone wash the PMP. Funny enough, not funny actually. The hardware is stripped, so T6 crap. You know, everybody has these problems, but I was planning on blasting the hardware too, but yeah, the hardware back here is stripped. So I basically had to undo the pivot and then get the knife out of there. I was too lazy to fix the hardware, so I'll fix it eventually. But as of right now, like, it's stripped hardware because of T6, which, you know, is pretty typical of T6, and I hear a lot of people with smaller knives complain about it. Most of the time when you get to bruisers, like, you don't deal with T6s too often. Like, I can think of very few. I mean, the actual, what do you call it, lock bar screw, maybe a T6, but even most of those are like T8s, T10s for bruisers. So I don't usually have to deal with that crap all that often. But I like the finish. The finish came out good. Actually, still good on the knife. So for right now, I'm just going to leave it together and use it. When it becomes an issue, I'll eventually fix the hardware. But I was going to put it for sale, but now that the hardware's stripped, it ain't for sale. It's funny because I posted a picture of this one too, and some dude's like, "That's awesome, send it my way." And I was like, "Hey man, you really want to check it out?" And he's like, "What knife was that?" And I was like, "Never mind, man. I was going to let you borrow it. You didn't know what knife you said you wanted to borrow." That's cool, man. No worries. But anyway, the PMP's done. So I think basically, you know, coming up on Thanksgiving this week, so I hope you all have a good Thanksgiving. You know, everybody does Black Friday deals. You get suckered into buying stuff. Like, I don't know about y'all, but like, I'm like, I ain't buying nothing this year. And then something will come around, you're like, all right, I'll buy that. They get me every year, man. Instagram knows how to get my money. I swear it does. But anywho, I figured I'd do a quick little why not, and it's going to be very specific. It's basically like, if you get your knife here before Thanksgiving, because we'll be on call Thanksgiving, but the Friday after too, I think I'm off Thursday and Friday, so I'll have time to do regruns. So if you get your knife here before Thanksgiving, which means you have to ship 2-day, like FedEx 2-day or UPS 2-day or whatever, or next day. I wouldn't do next day, but 2-day. I'll do your grind for $20, which is basically going to cost me like almost $12 or $13 to send it back to you. So you basically get the regrind for $7. That's my Black Friday special to anybody who wants, because I just want something to do for Thursday and Friday there. I mean, not that I don't have my own shit to do, but I didn't get no grinds this week, man, and I really wanted to be grinding some. All right, you want to come say hey to the people? All right. Oh, Leia's just really dying to say hey to the people, so say hey to the peoples. All right, there we go. Say hey, peoples. All right. So Big Snorty Girl is going to say bye. Hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving. See y'all next week. Later, y'all.